Hello everyone. It is time for my Throwback 30 project pan update. This is a Pantastic Ladies collab that was created by Jessica Lee. The whole idea here is that we're pulling prompts from 30 other project pans, both past and present, and we're just rolling it into one handy little project. It helps with the FOMO, helps us from overcommitting to too many projects, which is a temptation because they all look so fun. But this way we get to try a little bit of everything without overcommitting. This is technically a year-long project. It runs from July 28th of last year to July 28th of this year. I did not join this project until September. So for me, it's a 10-month project and I still have a few prompts to roll in. So I need to get rolling here. Let's talk about the progress I've made. I have 2 rollouts. Then we will talk about the progress I've made on the other products. And then at the end, we will roll a few more products in. Like I did with my 50 Shades of Black project pan, it really made it a lot easier for me to have Editing Rebecca add in the weights on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here as well. So the first product I have to roll out is for the Beauty and the Beast project. I chose the prompt Cogsworth, which was for something that will soon expire. And for that prompt, I rolled in my Josie Marin Argan Daily Moisturizer SPF 47. This is one of my favorite SPFs. This is a mineral sunscreen. It is very hydrating, so it's something that I pretty much only use during the winter because during the summer with my combo oily skin, it would be a mess. I've gone through several of these bottles. I've had this one for a while. It was definitely nearing its expiration date, and I usually am not too fussed about expiration dates, but I'm a little more conscientious when it comes to the expiration dates of SPF since past the expiration date, you really can't count on it to give you the advertised amount of UV protection. So I rolled her in last month to finish, and apparently she only had 9 uses left in her, which was fewer than I expected. But I went in, that last use, I went in with a spatula and I scraped as much as I possibly could out of this bottle because I love this product that much. And she is completely finished and rolling out. My second one was also something I rolled in last month, and I also met the goal significantly sooner than I expected to. This was for the project Nightmare on Panning Street. The prompt I chose was Final Destination, which was for something you are about to declutter. And I actually pulled this out of my declutter pile in order to pan it. This is my Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Powder Foundation. I was totally going to declutter this because I hadn't used it in an age. But as I was swatching it during my powder declutter video, I remembered, gosh, this was such a nice product. Why don't I try it one last time? I tried it one last time and I was like, this is gorgeous. Why am I not using this? It deserves to be used. And I need to at least hit pan on this before I can let it go. So I rolled it into hit pan and it only took 4 uses. I expected it to take significantly longer than that, but this was panned after 4 uses. I continue to use this, however, because it is just so nice. There are a few products I have that I love to reach for on a morning when I don't have a ton of time to put on makeup, but I don't want a completely bare face. And this is absolutely one of them. So I hit pan after 4 uses, and then I went on to use it 10 more times. So I really enjoyed this one over the last month. I'm going to go ahead and roll it out now because honestly, I really need to get on with it here. But I am not going to put it back in my drawer because it has been so useful to me lately. I'm going to keep it out on my counter and continue to use it. Next, for its panning cats and dogs, I chose the prompt Labrador Retriever, and that is for a product you had to hunt down. For that prompt, I rolled in my Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. This is my favorite ABH palette of all time, just a gorgeous palette. I do think the Jackie Aina palette is technically a better palette, but I enjoyed this one the most. I did not purchase this until it had already been discontinued and it was out of stock on Anastasia's site, so I actually had to hunt down this palette. But I am so glad that I did. It is just such a pretty color story. I love these shades. The formula is powdery, but honestly, I don't mind. It's beautiful. It's richly pigmented. It's so easy to work with. And the looks I get out of this palette are so pretty. I rolled this in No Pan Left Behind ×2. And I have used all of the shades here 2 times, with the exception of Dreamer here on the end, which I used 4 times. Summer, this beautiful gold one here, I also used that 4 times. I used Wild Child, this pink shimmer here, I used that 3 times. The base shade here, which is this ivory color, which is a really nice brow bone highlight for me, I used this 3 times. And then I used Volatile, this beautiful mid-tone brown here. I used that 3 times. So we are all done with this one. This is my 3rd rollout for the month. So those are my rollouts. Let's talk about the progress I've made on the rest of these products. First, I want to talk about the product that I have probably enjoyed the most of all of the products in this project. And that's the one I rolled in for the 12 Days of Christmas project pan. I chose the prompt Maids a Milking. And for that, I rolled in this little bottle of the Ellis Brooklyn Vanilla Milk perfume. It is just so delicious. I don't often reach for vanilla scents just because they feel very, I don't know, very basic to me. But something about the inclusion of that lactic note in this just, it bumps it up for me to another level. And I love it. I have been using this very liberally. We are up to 26 uses since I rolled it in. This is into finish. We are already more than halfway there. Yeah, this is going to be no problem to finish this one up. The next one is something I have had rolled in since September, and that is my Anastasia Beverly Hills lip liner in the shade Muted Mauve. I was really excited about this lip liner when I first rolled it in back in September, and then I kind of went on what I have described as a lip liner bender. So I'm struggling a little bit to get my uses on this one. I had this rolled in for 50 uses. That seemed totally doable back in September, but slightly less so since I've added so many more lip liners to my collection, some that I do enjoy more than this one. This runs a hair warm on me, but not the straight orange that so many other nude lip liners tend to on my skin tone. I have used this 12 times since the last update, which brings it to a total of, let's see, 27 uses in this project. That's 27 of 50 uses, so we're more than halfway to the goal. I think I should be able to finish this one by the end of the project. I just need to stop getting so distracted by all of the other lip liners that I have acquired. Next, for the 50 Shades of Pink project pan, I rolled in this little tiny mini of the Ofra liquid lipstick in Pasadena. I'm wearing this today along with the Sweater Weather lip liner from Give Me Glow, which I also have rolled into this project. That's the color right there, although it looks significantly deeper because the Sweater Weather lip liner I have used is quite deep. One of my favorite ways to use this is when I'm wearing a very nude lip, to add it just to the center to give it just a tiny bit of an ombre. I think it's just a really pretty look, but I usually don't tend to wear it all over the lip on its own very often. And I think that's the reason why it's taking me freaking forever to finish this. It's a mini. You think it would be done by now. Since the last update, I have used this 11 times and we're just gonna, I guess, keep using it until it finally runs out. Next, for the 50 Shades of Purple project pan, I rolled in my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Psychedelic Sister. I am wearing it today in my bottom waterline. This is just such a gorgeously creamy, very vibrant eyeliner. I rolled this in last month for 15 uses, and I have actually used it 8 times. I don't reach for colored liner often, so I'm actually surprised that I have used it so many times. So we're over halfway to goal on this one. One that I'm not nearly so close to goal on is my ColourPop liner in the shade Two Can Do It, I think is the name of it. Is that what it's called? Two Can Do It. Very cute. I rolled this in for the 50 Shades of Yellow/Gold project pan, and I also rolled this in for 15 uses. I have only managed to use it 3 times. So I don't know, at that rate, I should still be able to get it done by the end of the project. I'm just not really reaching for a yellow liner very often. So the progress on this one is a little bit slower. If I can manage 3 uses per month for the rest of this project though, I should be able to get it done. Then for the 7 Deadly Pans project pan, I chose the prompt Gluttony. The color for Gluttony is pink, which is, I don't know, kind of a theme with me over the last couple of months. I've just been very pink lately. For that, I rolled in my One Size powder in the shade Ultra Pink. This is my favorite powder right now. Maybe period. And with that knowledge, I actually rolled this in for 100 uses. To my surprise, however, I have not been using a ton of powder over the last month. It has been very dry where I live, and I have been using some actives in my skincare that have caused some flakiness, and powder on top of that is just, it's not my best look. I have used it 13 times. 13 of 100 uses is not promising. However, I'm hoping that as the weather kind of continues to warm up as we move into spring, I will reach for this more often and I'll be able to meet that 100 use goal. Next is Beauty A to Z. I randomly rolled the 6th letter in the alphabet and had a spacey moment and decided that was the letter G. It was actually the letter F, but we were committed at that point. So it is now the letter G. The letter G is what we were working on. And for that, I rolled in my Laura Geller Gilded Honey highlighter. This is such a pretty highlighter. It is the glow on my cheeks today. I am enjoying highlighter right now more than I think I ever have in my entire life. Historically, I'm not a huge highlighter person, so I wasn't sure how often I would be reaching for this one, so I only rolled it in for 20 uses. But I have really been kind of into highlighter over this last few weeks, surprisingly into highlighter. And I have actually reached for this 11 times since I rolled it in. So 11 of 20 uses. We are well on our way to a rollout on this one as well. Next, for I Heart the 90s, I chose the prompt Friends, and that is for a product you took a break from. And for that, I rolled in my Huda Beauty Easy Blur Foundation. I purchased this in April of last year, wore it for a couple of months, loved it, and then dumped it for the Tier Mask Fit Liquid Foundation, which I wore all through the summer. It was so hot. My skin gets so oily. That Tier foundation is just peak at lasting on my oily skin during the very hot summer days. And so I think I picked this up maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 times over the summer. I came back to it when the weather started to cool down, and I have just been loving it ever since. It is such a beautiful foundation. It's just got this gorgeous, creamy, delightful finish on the skin, the perfect amount of coverage, incredibly lightweight, and does actually last a decent amount of time on my skin. It can't quite hold a candle to the Tier during those very hottest months when I am at my oiliest. So I actually did forget that this was in the project. That's why I actually ended up briefly rolling it into my 50 Shades of Black project pan. I had forgotten it was part of this project. Because I forgot, I did not track my uses between September and January. So I used it a lot of times in that window. I just don't know how many. But I do know I have used it 15 times since the last update in January. I'm not sure how many more uses she's got left in her, but the bottle's feeling pretty light. So I'm pretty sure this is one I can get done. The next project was the Zodiac Panner project. And for that, I chose Scorpio, which is my sign, and that's associated with the color Deep Red. I was feeling very ambitious the day I rolled this in, I guess, and I rolled in my Give Me Glow lip liner in the shade Sweater Weather. It's what I'm wearing today, along with that Ofra liquid lipstick. And I rolled this in for 20 uses. I was thinking to myself, I usually use my red lipsticks during the winter. It is wintertime. Surely I can make it to 20 uses. You guys, I've only used this twice, and one of them was today. Knowing that I had to update this, one of those uses was today. So that's 2 out of 20 uses. Not amazing. It's not amazing. Okay. I'm going to have to focus a little harder to get this one done by the end of the project. Then we have the project Same Pan last year. For that, I chose Valentine's Day, which I know is a little obvious, especially for this time of the year, but I have really been in a very pink/purple mood lately, as you can tell by what I'm wearing. And so I really wanted to use this. This is my Natasha Denona Love Face Palette. I really enjoy the colors in this palette. The only product here that does not work for me, or it does not work for me as intended, is this blush here. The white base is a little bit too prominent. I can't get it to look right on my skin tone. So I imagine if you're any deeper than I am, it's probably gonna look crazy on you. However, I have been using it as an eye base, and I think that that is working for me quite a bit better than attempting to use it on my cheeks. So I rolled this in no pan left behind style ×5. So I'm trying to hit every pan in here at least 5 times. So far I have used it 5 times, but we haven't yet hit our goal on every single shade in here. So far I have used this pink blush shade 3 times. I have used the highlighter 4 times. I have used this shade 3 times, this shade once, this shade 3 times, this shade twice, and I have used this shade here 4 times. So we have still a little bit of work to do on this palette before she can roll out, but so far we're doing pretty good. As long as my current obsession with pinks and purples kind of stays put, this should be no problem. Okay, I think those are all of the products that I have progress on. Now it's time to roll in a few more products. We should be able to roll everything in today. By the time we're done today, we will have all of the prompts covered. So the first roll in this month is going to be for the 4 Seasons project pan. This is a project pan where you choose a season and then roll in something that is corresponding to that season in some way. And for that, I'm going to be rolling in a product that I, in the past, have only used in the summertime, but I have recently discovered that I enjoy it in the winter as well. And that is my Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder in the shade Universal. This is my absolute favorite oil controlling mattifying primer. It works so well for me in the summer. I thought it would be overkill during the wintertime, but I have been using it lately and I'm still loving it. My skin is combo oily, which can be really complicated to try to prime for. During the summer, pretty much everything is oily. During the wintertime, especially in this very dry climate that I live in, I experience a lot of dryness, especially around my mouth, sometimes on my forehead and around the periphery of my face. The center area of my face is always oily. There is no season of the year where I do not get shiny here in the center of my face. And especially over this last winter, when I have been using some of those actives in my skincare that have been kind of exacerbating the dryness of my dry areas, I have been wanting to use more hydrating skincare and more hydrating base products as well. And that's great for most of my face, but here for that center portion, it just means I get greasy so fast. This has been really helping with that. I will apply this only in the areas where I tend to get really shiny, and it has been really helping me to not get as shiny while still using more hydrating products, which is what the rest of my skin really needs at this time of year. So I have been loving this, and I am going to go ahead and roll this in for 30 uses. Then for the Ancient Mythos Project Pan, I chose the prompt Freya. That is for product that performs differently depending on how you use it. And I picked my Flower Beauty Scribble Stick in the shade Caramel. And you would have seen this in my 2025 favorites. It was one of my favorite products for last year. These are multi-use products, which I don't generally get along with because usually those multi-use products, I only really love them in one area of my face. This one, I love these scribble sticks everywhere. Eyes, lips, and face. This is the shade Caramel. It's probably my favorite and most used shade. I've actually already been through an entire one of these, and I love this shade. I love this shade pretty much everywhere. One of my favorite ways to use it is as a bronzer, kind of around the periphery of my face. I really enjoy it on the eyes as well. This shade is a little bit warm for me on the lips. I have a couple of other scribble sticks that I prefer on the lips. They're just such a quick, easy face, which was so useful for me last year after I had my baby. I just really enjoyed these scribble sticks. So I'm going to be rolling this in for 20 uses. Next, for another pan bites the dust, which is a queen themed project pan, I chose the prompt Under Pressure, which is for a product that is aerosolized or something in an airless pump. And I chose the Batiste Heavenly Volume Dry Shampoo. You guys know how much I love the Batiste Dry Shampoo. I have gone through so many cans of this. This is the Heavenly Volume version, which is supposed to give you more body and texture. And I think it does a little bit, but I think you also don't want to overdo it on this one because it can, you know how too much dry shampoo in your hair can make it kind of sticky and a little bit snarly and difficult to manage. I feel like you get there a little bit easier with this version than you do with the original formula. It's still every bit as effective as the original formula, so I'm happy to use this one up. I just need to be careful not to go overboard. This is the 12-ounce can. I got it for $10 at Ross. If you like Batiste and you have access to a Ross, that is the place to get your Batiste dry shampoo. Do not get it from TJ Maxx or Marshalls. TJ Maxx and Marshalls will sell you an 8-ounce can for $12 or $13, whereas I'm getting a 12-ounce can from Ross for $10. Much better deal. Something I always mention when I'm talking about the Batiste, this has a pretty strong white cast, and that's a problem for those of us with really dark hair. They do have a dark hair version that has less of a cast, but I find that version to be significantly less effective than the original formula. So my trick for using the Batiste and not having to deal with that white cast is put it in the night before. If you put this in the night before, by the time you get up in the morning, it'll have had time to really kind of settle in your hair and you won't have to deal with the white cast. If you forget, you can still use this. It just requires a lot of brushing through, in order to get that white cast to settle. I prefer putting it in the night before because it's just easier. I don't know how much is left in this one. Honestly, I'm terrible at estimating how much product is left in these dry shampoos. That's the reason why I always keep several under my sink, because I never know when I'm going to run out. So I always have a backup. In any case, I really do enjoy this dry shampoo. I'm going to roll this one in. I think I'm going to roll it in to finish. I don't know how many uses it's going to take us to get there, but I guess we will find out. Next, for Birthstone Beauty, I decided to go with February since that's the month we're rolling this in. And February is associated with amethyst, onyx, and hematite. I decided to play off onyx and hematite and roll in a black eyeliner. This is the black retractable eyeliner from NYX. This is a really good pencil liner. I love tight lining with this liner. I don't know why I'm opening it. It's just black. We've got a lot of products, so I'm probably going to go for a usage goal rather than a finish goal. I actually just finished one of these in my 50 Shades of Black project pan. This is my backup. So I'm gonna roll it in for 20 uses. Next, for budget beauty, I am rolling in my LA Girl Blue Mixer. This is a foundation mixing pigment. I mix a blue mixer into almost every foundation I own. It's the only way that I have found to reliably match my cool olive undertone, which most foundation ranges do not cater to. This was in my 26 and 26. See, I told you guys it would turn up. This was actually missing when I did my 26 and 26, but I knew I would find it again, and here it is. I do use a blue mixer pretty much every time I wear foundation, almost every time I wear foundation, but I have been decanting some of my foundations into cushion compacts recently, and when I do that, I pre-mix them with the AOA Studios blue mixing drops, which are a little bit more liquidy and more suited to that. So I'm not going to be using this every day. I'm only going to be using this when I'm not using the foundations that I have decanted into cushion compacts. So given that fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and roll this one in for 30 uses. I think that's a reasonable goal for the remainder of this project. Then we have the Color Pan Project Pan, which is a project pan where you use all of your ColourPop products. I have quite a few, but I have a kind of a new one that I'm eager to use. And that is the ColourPop Shadow Sticks in the shade Keep Dreaming. This was part of a duo that they released with their recent Valentine's collection. I don't usually purchase products from new releases, but I saw this duo. I have been on a big pink kick, as I have mentioned a few times now. Look at this. Look at this eyeshadow stick. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's the most perfect cool pink color. One of the frustrating things about it is that it is the perfect soft pink on my lips. I don't think it's lip safe. I am not recommending that you use it in that way. Lip safe products are usually made with food grade ingredients, whereas things that go on your face or your eyes typically aren't. So I don't think you should use it on your lips, but I did out of curiosity to try it. And this is the perfect cool pink. So I have to find myself a lipstick that looks just like that. I need that in my life. I really do like it on eyes though. I am using eyeshadow sticks, you guys. I've talked about this before. I don't usually reach for eyeshadow sticks. And so I kind of try to avoid purchasing them because what's the point if I'm not going to use them? But I don't know. I'm reaching for highlight and eyeshadow sticks. I'm wearing lipstick again. I'm a whole new woman apparently, and I am really enjoying a good eyeshadow stick right now. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this one in for 20 uses. I'm on the hunt now though. I need to find that exact shade in a lip product. So pretty. It's really nice on the cheeks too, this color. So I should be able to use it in a couple of different ways. Speaking of things that are pretty on the cheeks, for the Disney Princess Project Pan, I chose the prompt Aurora. Aurora's colors are pink and gray. And so I am rolling in this blush. This is my Dan Visit liquid blush in the shade 02 Cool Pink. I have been working on this one for a while. That's it swatched right there. It is such a pretty cool pink. It's not quite as cool as the ColourPop Shadow Stick. I already have some windowing in there, so I think we're close. Do I dare roll in a blush to finish by the end of this project? That is pretty ambitious, but I think I'm going to do it. You know how I am. Overpromise and underdeliver. No, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I think I can do it. I do have a few other blushes. That's okay. That's okay. I think I can do this. I think I can get this done by the end of the project. Is that crazy, you guys? Whatever. We're doing it. This is rolling into finish. Next, for the Happy Hour Project Pan, I chose the prompt Mule, which is a drink that's traditionally served in a metallic cup. So the prompt is for a product with metallic packaging. And for that, I am rolling in this. This is my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in the shade Dim Light. This is such a pretty, softly radiant finishing powder. This is not something that I'm going to be reaching for during the summer, because during the summer, I create my own radiance. I don't need the help from a product to make me glowy. I do really enjoy this during the colder months when I'm not quite as oily. It's just kind of this really soft candlelit glow, and this is the perfect season for me to use it. So I'm going to roll this one in for 30 uses. Then for that 70s pan, I chose the prompt, the Waltons, and that is for something that your mother would wear. And I am rolling in my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I have the shade 2C3 here. This is a value match, not an undertone match, like most of my foundations. This is absolutely something my mother would wear. It is something that she has worn. I've seen it many times on her vanity since I was a kid. This is a product that it took me a while to get on board with. It looks terrible on my skin when I first put it on. I look dry. I don't think you understand how hard it is to make this skin look dry upon application. I might look a little dry around the mouth or the forehead in the wintertime, but that's usually after a while. To look dry initially, that's quite something. However, I have discovered that after an hour, half an hour to an hour of wearing this, it looks beautiful. That initial jump scare of how my skin looks when I first put it on kind of put me off this product for a while. But I think I get the hype now. Estee Lauder recently reformulated this. I don't have any experience with the reformulation. This is the original formula, and the bottle is almost full. So we are not finishing this in this project, especially because I have, 2 other foundations that I'm working on in this project and in 50 Shades of Black. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll this in for 30 uses. Given the other things that I'm working on, I think that's doable. Then for the That's Expensive project pan, I am busting out some of the luxury items in my collection that are sadly also some of the least used. These are my Pat McGrath Quints. These are these gorgeous little 5-pan palettes. This is what they look like. They have the most divine formula. I just don't reach for them, and I don't know why. They are gorgeous. They are a joy to apply. I overlook them for some reason. So I'm gonna roll all 4 of these quints that I have. And then just for good measure, I'm gonna be rolling in these tiny little palettes I have from Pat McGrath. These are 6 pans, so not quints, but I also do tend to overlook these. I think it's because they're so small. I just never reach for them, and I should. They are delightful. So I'm gonna go ahead and make one look from each of these palettes. I'm not technically going no pan left behind on these. I just want to make one comprehensive look from each of these palettes. So that means I'm not going to be reaching into these as like a companion palette to something else. The majority of the look has to come from the palette. So that's how I'm going to be judging this. So that will be 6 different eye looks, and I should be able to get some good use on some products here that not only represent a decent amount of money, but that I just don't get enough use out of. And that's really kind of my goal this year, is to get use out of as many eyeshadow palettes as I can. Next, we have That's So 2000s, and the prompt that I chose from that project pan was VHS. So something that you wind up. That honestly could have been so many things in my collection, but I really had to consider the other things that I'm also using. Could have been a lipstick, but I have a bunch of other lipsticks I'm working on. It could have been a lip liner, but I'm already working on several lip liners. Could be an eyeliner, but I'm already working on all the eyeliners I think I can manage. So I decided to bring in this. This is my Peri Para Skinny Brow Pencil in the shade, let's see, what's the shade? Cool Gray. This is a really, really soft gray pencil. There it is right there. It is a very soft color, but it has 0 warmth, which is what I prefer in my brows. So I will either use this on a day where I'm going very natural and I only just want a little something in my brows, or I will use this underneath the ABH dip brow. So what I will do is I will just put this through the whole brow as kind of a shadow, and then I will draw really thin brow hairs with the dip brow. And that is what I have done today. I really enjoy these 2 products together. And since I have the dip brow rolled into my 50 Shades of Black project pan, and I have quite a few uses to get through, I thought that this would be a good one to roll into this project. So this one is rolling in for 30 uses as well. We are almost there, you guys. We are almost there. Next, we have the Turn and Burn project pan. This is a project pan where typically what you're trying to do is you're trying to use up a lot of things very rapidly. So they tend to be minis, deluxe sizes, sample packets, or just gimme products that are almost finished. So over the next few months of this project, I'm going to try to work through 1 sample a month. Honestly, I should have been doing this since the beginning, technically. But we're here now, and the first product that I'm rolling in is this little sample packet of the Easy Blur Primer from Huda Beauty. I have never tried this primer. I'm going to try it with the Easy Blur foundation, since theoretically the 2 products were meant to go together, and we'll see what I think. I will finish the packet this month, and then next month we will roll in another little mini or trial size or single use packet or something like that. And we'll just try to do that every month until the project is done. 2 more products to roll in. First is for the Lip Service Project Pan. This is for any lip products, and for that I'm rolling in my Ulla Henriksen Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment. This is in the shade Lingonberry Jam Glimmer. It's one of their sparkling ones. It's got a really, really lovely scent to it. The shade it's kind of a pretty vibrant purple, which I don't know is my absolute favorite, especially not for a balm, which is something I'm going to more often reach for when I haven't done a whole lot of other makeup. But honestly, this is the most lovely squeezy balm I have ever tried in my life. It is so delicious and thick and hydrating. It's not goopy. It's just thick enough to really stick to the lips and hang out for a while. So I feel like this is cosmetically, maybe it's not my favorite, but as a lip treatment, this is delightful. And especially in the middle of winter, my lips are always dry. I have been loving this thing. You guys, I don't know if I can finish it. I do have the Black Honey Lip Oil rolled into my 50 Shades of Black, but honestly, there's just no way I'm finishing that by the end of that project. There's no way. I have half the tube left. So I might just give up on that one and fully focus on this. Can we finish it? Can we finish it? The last time I tried to finish a squeezy balm, it took me an entire year. We do have until July for this one. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to finish this one by the end of the project. Is that delusional? Maybe. I guess we'll have to see. That's my motto. I guess we will see. Last product. This was the hardest for me, I think, to decide on or to find. It was for the Nightmare Before Christmas Project Pan, and you're supposed to roll in themes that are either Christmas or Halloween themed in some way. I don't have any of either. I looked through everything. I don't have either of those things. So I really had to get creative. I decided what I would do is I would look for something in my collection that is properly orange. And that was a task because orange is typically a shade that I really try to avoid. I don't think it's particularly flattering on me, and it's not something I gravitate towards. I had a hard time finding orange anywhere, even on packaging. So there was a bit of a hunt, but I did finally find one. I found an orange eyeshadow in my ColourPop Malibu Barbie eyeshadow palette. This is an eyeshadow palette. I don't know. I have no idea why I purchased this in the first place. Does any of this look like it's something, I don't know, the pinks maybe? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. However, there is a very orange eyeshadow here. I don't know how I'm going to wear this, how I'm going to work it in. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. But I guess that's just going to be part of the challenge for me. I'm going to go ahead and try to wear this eyeshadow here 10 times. Wish me luck. I don't know how that's going to go. This might be a situation where every one of the 10 times I apply it and then immediately wash it off. I don't know. We'll have to see. Or maybe I will discover that along with highlighters and eye pencils, I also really enjoy orange eyeshadow. I don't know. I think that's probably unlikely, but we'll find out. So I think that's it. I think I have rolled everything into the Throwback 30. So far, we have finished 5 of the 30. For being past the halfway point, that's a little concerning, but I'm pretty confident on most of this stuff. I think the 2 things that I'm less sure about are the Dan Visit blush and the Ulla Henriksen lip treatment. These ones are going to be a little bit of a stretch to finish both of them. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next one.